Jel and the crew are waiting to hear from you, so get those comments in.
Well, good evening, Crystal Palace supporters tuning in to this Easter Sunday edition of the Red and Blue Review with me, Ian Noble. We've given Nick Philpott the night off as it's his birthday this weekend. We'll look back on both yesterday's goalless draw with Bournemouth and the midweek defeat away to Newcastle United. Having been on an unprecedented winning run away from home in typical Palace fashion, we've managed to ship 12 goals in just 2 games within the last week, and yet the 0-0 draw stopped the rot, resulting in 4 unbeaten now in the Premier League at Selhurst Park. Do please like and share our content across social media, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, especially if you're new to the podcast. Joining me this evening, as you can see on the screen, a founding member of this pod, Jel Holyoke. Evening, Jel. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks, mate. You good?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, not too bad at all. I'm very well. We've got Easter eggs on the screen as well. I thought they were balloons at first when I was rehearsing this earlier, but they're Easter eggs, I'm told by producer guy, in Jel's window on my screen. And then who else we got? Yeah, so back for the first time in a while. Good evening, Theresa Baker. How are you, T?
I'm good, thank you. Hello, everyone. Yes, let's do this.
Let's do this. It's good to have you with us, T. And finally, making up our quartet tonight, backed by popular demand, and with a new profile pic on the show graphic, it's Yasmin Broom. Hello, Yas. Long time no speak.
Yes, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again, Yas. Do you know, I think I've probably seen more of you this week than my own wife, which is a bit disturbing, but there we are. We'll come to all of that a little bit later on. Listen, there's absolutely no shortage of stuff to talk about on tonight's show. Jel will be looking after the chat. Who we got joining us, Jel? Who's in the chat tonight?
Oh, we'll just jump straight in. Ian Green. Loads of questions coming in before the show had even started. Ian Green, Joan Wells, Tom Samuel, Rob Cranfield, Daniel Garlick, Mark Callahan, Graham Kitcher, Paul Grant, Paul Bristow, Mark Drew, Richard Young, John Knox, Ian Appley, Dawn Palace, Charlie Byrne, Damien Aldous, Ian Donalds, James Convey, Real Panel, and Paul Holden, to name but a few.
There we go. Some familiar names there, 1 or 2 less familiar. Really good to have you with us, whether you're a regular viewer of the podcast or whether you're joining us for the first time. You're equally welcome. Do please comment, ask your questions, and we'll try and involve as many people as possible this evening. Now, we're going to come to yesterday's events at Selhurst shortly, but let's get straight to what happened away at Newcastle. The game rearranged, of course, due to the EFL Cup final. We were looking for a reaction after the previous Saturday's defeat against City. Team news was that Mark Gahey returned after suspension, with Lerma moving into midfield and Adam Wharton getting a rest on the bench. So there's the lineup. Henderson, Munoz, Richards, Lacroix, Gahey, Mitchell, Hughes and Lerma in the middle, Sarr, Eza and Mateta up top. Yasmin, you didn't thank me when I asked you to lead on this, did you really?
Not really. Didn't want to have to relive it again, but never mind.
There we go. Okay. Tell us a little bit about, let's pick up the key talking points, the goals and the penalty bits. We'll come to that penalty shortly, of course.
Yeah, well, just one thing from the lineup, I was a bit surprised personally that Wharton was on the bench and Lerma was there in his place. I don't know if any of you were surprised by that.
Well, I just think that Adam Wharton needed a rest. I think, what Glasser's probably looking at is that, knowing we have a semi-final coming up, he's looking to rest players, if not for 90, but 45 minutes. And he's played quite a lot of football since he's come back from his injury. He hasn't looked at his best really lately, and so I think he just wanted to give him a little bit of a break. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll just go straight into it. Really, I think started okay, and then on 14 minutes, Jacob Murphy scored a goal, which is lucky. I don't know if he meant to score or if he was trying to cross it, but I don't think there was much anyone could. Or do you think Dino could have got it? I'm not sure that he could. There was quite a lot of power on it. So
Well, let's ask Theresa and Jel what they think. So, the Murphy goal, the opening goal in 14 minutes up at Newcastle, it was a shot on the right. You could think, is he crossing this ball here? Dean Henderson at 40?
No, I don't think so. I think the ball was I think it was struck deceptively hard. And I think it would have taken a monumental effort to keep that out, to be honest. I'm going to give Dino the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Okay. What about you, Jel?
I don't even know. Yes, and I'm going to say yes and no. I'm not going to sit on the fence about it. I mean, he's got beat at his near post, which he should never do. It wasn't off the crossbar, so it wasn't that far above his head. But as Theresa said, it was, absolutely nailed. But I don't think it was a mistake either. I don't think it was a cross because I don't know, but somewhere in the last 2 or 3, 4 games, Newcastle games, someone else has scored a very, very similar goal for them from exactly the same place. May even be him. I don't know. But yeah, it was a bit for me. I'm going to give Dino the benefit of the doubt because that's all he's going to get off me. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I had Murphy in my fantasy team, so I was okay with those points. Rob Cranfield said the shot was Van Basten-like, but shouldn't be beaten at the near post. Good to see you, Rob. Good to meet you in the away end up at Newcastle last week. And the fellow sort of North East Palace fan, I'm led to believe there. So we're 1-0 down after 14 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, which wasn't what we wanted after Saturday. So, and then we had a free kick, and Chris Richard was taken out by Pope in the penalty area. Now, from where we were standing in, it did look like he'd taken him out, didn't it? Clearly.
Yeah, it did, but no one was screaming for a penalty, were they?
Yes, some of them were.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah. But the referee didn't give it, so it sort of carried on, and then VAR, and the referee was Darren England, of course. So then when it went to VAR, I don't think we were that confident that he would give it then because we've been there before with him. So we're a bit nervous. And then he did give it, which was brilliant, but straight away, Eze picked up the ball. There didn't seem to be any arguments between him and JP about who would take the penalty. I was personally a bit surprised because I think, yes, Eze's taken them before, but lately JP's been taking them. But, I mean, either of them should be able to score a penalty, we think. There was a bit of, I think Nick Pope was trying to psych Eze out. We were getting a bit irate about what he was doing. And the referee did tell him to go back a few times. But then I think, well, I don't know what Eze was doing, whether he was trying to be clever or whether it's a part of a big plan, who knows? But as we know, it went terribly wrong. There was absolutely no power on it. I could have saved that penalty. Kicked it right out. So yeah, what did everyone else think about the whole situation?
Well, we felt that we felt that Pete the Eagle could have saved that penalty during the half-time challenge in front of the Whitehorse. Jel, you got your hand up.
Well, if you can remember, Eze mugged off Jordan Pickford in exactly the same fashion, exactly the same side, last year or the year before. So that is his penalty. That's what he does. That stupid stutter instead of. But I'd rather the person that probably hits the ball harder than anybody in our inside side, apart from Dino, is Eze. When he hits it, it stays, and I just can't. I can't believe he just can't run up and smash it, because even if the keeper goes the right way, unless he gets both hands on it, he ain't going to save it. No. I don't get it. I just don't get why he did what he did. And then almost, I'm just going to add this to it. I saw an advert with an Arsenal with Saka and Eze have got an advert running on TV, and if you look, Saka tried to do a Paneka or whatever it's called the same night, and he missed as well.
It's good to see Lindsay joining us. Lindsay, friend of the show, been on the show a few times. He was trying to sit Pope down. Yes, I thought that as well. He wanted Pope to go to Pope's right, and then he could place it to the right of him or to his left. But Pope's 6'6" and could reach to grab the ball. Had he kicked up, and he kicked up, would have been fine. Yeah, okay. So, look, it didn't work out. He tried to psych out Nick Pope. Nick Pope got the better of him. But as Jel says, why he didn't just smash it, put his laces through it? And if you hit it hard enough, even if the keeper goes the right way, you usually score. I don't think he takes the next one, does he? If we get another one, and Jean-Philippe Mateta is on the pitch, JP gets the spot kick, do we think?
Yeah, I would have thought so. I'm just a bit concerned as to why JP wasn't really up for it, because he usually is. And that might be because of what's happened, his injury. He doesn't seem to be quite the same player at the moment that he was, which is such a shame.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I've got a question for you, actually, before we move on. Is it the worst Palace penalty you've ever seen?
Oh, it's been a few.
Is it the worst penalty I've ever seen?
No, Palace penalty.
Puncheon's ones that he went out the stadium at Spurs.
Yeah.
Wilf, when he fell over. You remember?
Oh, yeah. Was that when I made a faux pas on this podcast a few years
when he
back?
slipped and yes. We've had a few memes there. Yeah. We've got to get nice to put a compilation together end of season.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I think the Puncheon one is probably the worst because it's still orbiting the Earth now. Anyway, look, psychologically, in all seriousness, it must have affected the players. Do you think? They had this big opportunity to go 1-1, and it's not taken. And we haven't started the best. They're a good team, Newcastle, and it gives them a lift, doesn't it? And it gives the crowd a lift, and they go up the other end, and
Yeah, it really did. I mean, as you say, it almost straight from that they go up the other end and score. And I think it was Harvey Barnes and passing to Isaac, and it went off mark into the goal. And I do think if it had been 1-1, it would have been a different game. We were so close to that, and now instead we're losing 2-0. So I think that was really like the turning point of it, because we still had hope at 1-0. We've come back from 1-0 before. But then it's 2-0, own goal. Things just seem to be going from bad to worse. Plus,
and Mark Gay is now Newcastle's third top goal scorer. No, he's not quite that high, but he scored for them twice this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, and it was so annoying as well because Ian and I had a new Mark Gay song to sing, which we didn't feel the need to do so after that. We'll sing it at Wembley. And then the third goal came from Harvey Barnes this time. And he seemed to have so much space on that counter-attack. And just on the day, they just looked better than us all of the time at every single thing. At defending, at going forward, everything. And then the fourth goal came in. It was Murphy, again, a free kick, and Cher scored it. And going in half-time 4-0 down, to be honest, I think we were just dreading the second half, dreading what could happen. That happened.
I said to a producer guy Nigel there, we have to have a photograph. I'm looking like I'm blowing a kiss there. We're 4-0 down, but that was the highlight of half-time, the selfie overlooking St James's Park. Yeah, I mean, goodness me. It was a real shell shock, wasn't it? Quite a few left at half time, or certainly after the fifth goal, which we'll come to in a minute, went in. It's a long way to go and leave at half time, isn't it, if you're all the way up there?
Well, yeah, and we were only in the hotel. It wasn't really any point in going.
Exactly.
So, yeah, then obviously second half, very early on, we conceded the fifth goal, which was a bit of a mix-up between Lerma, I think, and Lacroix. And it enabled Isaac to get his goal, which he seemed to have been wanting for the whole game. And the other thing I wanted to mention was we made 3 substitutions on about 57 minutes, which was Wharton, Kamada and Nketiah for Hughes, JP and Eze. And I think following those substitutions, we were much better after that. So I just wondered whether we should have made them at half time.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? I mean, Oliver Glasner, he does use all his subs usually, but he rarely makes a substitution earlier than at the hour mark. Jel.
Yeah, I think at half time's a bit of a slap in the face for the players. unless they're injured or they've had an absolute shocker. I think what they do, they get their bollocking at half time, and then they get 10, 15 minutes at most to sort themselves out. And if they don't, then he hooks them off. So I think, right, you're right, sort of around about the 60 minutes, and it's half hour plus injury that the substitutes that get to come on and make an impact. And an impact they did, I thought.
Yeah, they did. And Nigel's actually got a graphic, which is sort of interesting. And Nigel, can we get that heart one? Looks like my heart rate during the game up here. That's the one. Yeah, look, this is my heart rate during the game. So the yellow is Newcastle's domination, and the white is Palace's domination. Is that how you saw the game? Yeah, you think it's sort of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is interesting. I think, yes, pretty much. I mean, I think at the time we failed to see that we had many positives, but we did towards the end, definitely. We could have possibly scored a goal, but it was one of those nights nothing was going our way. And I think most of the players did have a shocker. I mean, if you could have had 11 subs, you might have used them.
Yeah, absolutely. And other subs were, Romain Esse on the pitch.
Yes, so I was going to say he looked all right when he came on, I thought. And I think we should try and bring him on a bit more because he needs to get time.
Well, later on in the show, we're going to come and talk about, what team would we select for Arsenal next week, given that we got the semi-final 3 days later. So, is it a question of that kind of game that SA could get a start? We'll come to that a little bit later. And the other player to get on the pitch was Devene on 85 for Lerma.
Yeah.
Who was already on a yellow card. Hughes, Lerma and Munoz were booked up at St James's Park for Palace that night.
Yeah. The last thing I just wanted to mention was at full time, that Newcastle played Glad All Over for us. How kind of them. I think it was a wind-up. Apparently, we played something like Money to them at the end of our game. Our home game, but I think we all did the best thing and just sang it like we
won 5-0.
Yeah, which I thought was quite amusing for everyone else to see. But yeah, it was funny in a way, wasn't it? Really,
it was amusing. I did tweet one of the Newcastle fans because he tweeted to say that we played Glad All Over, taking the piss out of Palace. So I said to him, do you do that to every team you beat up at St James's? He said, no, it's a first. We've never done it to anybody else. So if we beat them at Selhurst next year, it's Blade and races, out across the Selhurst sound system. Would be a bit of fun, wouldn't it?
We did used to sing that, apart from different words, but the same version.
Yeah, we sang it. We sang it on Wednesday.
Yeah, walking down the Amsdale Road to see the Palace Aces.
But also the announcer, every time they scored, he would read it out in full. Oh, it's Newcastle 5, Crystal Palace 0, like that. To great amusement by the Newcastle fans.
Nigel, let's get the crowd up again. That's a great picture at the away end. Can you see yourself, yes?
Well, I found the flag, but when I zoomed in, I couldn't make us out.
Good. Right, excuse me while I cough. And Nigel, you got one other the graphic for the game there. Can you see that, Yasmin? Can you see the numbers on there? They're very small. Yeah. Do you want to read them out?
Yeah, so possession, Newcastle had 59.7 and we had 43. I didn't think we had that much, to be honest with you. And the XG, which Ian, you can explain what that is, but we actually had a higher one than Newcastle. We had 2 and they had 1.39. We had 11 shots, they had 14. They had 7 on target and we had 4. Do you want me to read the rest?
No, that's fine. That's all good. And yeah, I mean, I think touches in the box is incredible. Ours was more than theirs, and the XG was higher, which is surprising. Jel, what we got going on in the chat, please?
Well, Phillips on David said, "Good to see we won the foul stat," which I mean, it's pretty much what we've been saying. Nick saying thanks for all the birthday wishes. we've sort of coming on to the next game, really. People have really tried to skip the Newcastle game. Monty 64 said it was done by half time. I mean, that was pretty much stating the obvious, mate. But you're absolutely right. It reminded me of the Scunthorpe game when we were sitting in the homes down. Everyone was launching season tickets at the players as they were coming off. Players getting hit by. But just interestingly, were there any boos from from you guys up there while I flick through this? Did you boo the players off at half time?
No, not at all.
I never boo my own players ever.
Oh, wouldn't you?
No, I might not
either,
clap them, but I wouldn't boo them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, seriously, 4-0 down, but there wasn't a huge, it was sort of accepted that we didn't play very well, and they did us, it felt one of those things, sort of move on to the next game, and you're sort of dreading the second half, hoping it's not going to be a 7 or 8-0, 5-0 just about cope with, Brighton got done 7 at Forest, so, we didn't want anything like that, but
I thought it was interesting that Ollie didn't want to say anything about what had been said in the dressing room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stayed in the dressing room.
Yeah.
I imagine that some of the, I imagine Hughes, because having seen a few interviews before he even joined our club, what he's like in the changing room, I think he would have definitely said it. And he is one of the senior players as well now. But just getting back, I mean, we're talking about penalties, and Steve Dyer said Jedi was the best penalty taker I've ever seen for us. PR66 is also in the comments, just saying evening to us all. Paul Bristow said Ben Decade did the same as Eze's penalty a few years ago. People were saying, why have they literally not, just not smashing it? Daniel Garlick said if the semi goes to penalties, and then again, and this is quite a stat, because one team or some team beats another, and then we've already beat, and we all seem to work out the logic. But Phillips von Davis said losing to Newcastle and seeing the result against Villa yesterday isn't good. So really, we should get slaughtered 9 something at Wembley if that's the way we got beat by Newcastle, and they've thrashed Newcastle. So
don't be daft. Don't be daft.
Exactly. We'll win 2-0, I think. Anyway, so but yeah, I mean. There's not, people are really annoyed about the penalties and say, what, but and then Paul Bristow said, I did feel, because Paul was obviously there as he always is, you guys know, you meet up all the time. I did feel that Newcastle were happy to remain in second gear for the second half, especially after the fifth goal. And then Dean Hall's come up with it won't happen, but it could be Arsenal B versus Palace B. I mean, we don't really have a B side anyway, but we might have 3 or 4 younger players playing for the Arsenal game. But yeah, apart from that, nice to see Claire Davis in the chat as well. So yeah, I mean, it's all much of a muchness. And like I say, Dean Hall said, great shithousery, Newcastle playing glad all over at the end of the game, because that's the word we always use, and that really was. I mean, it's quite funny, really, especially after we did do the DJ did the Palace do money for Newcastle. So, but yeah.
Thanks, Jel. Thanks very much. That's all good. Yeah, I thought it was quite amusing. I didn't take offence to glad all over. I thought it was quite funny. Right, let's turn our attention to Saturday. Yesterday, 3:00 kickoff for the visit of Bournemouth. No goals, but still plenty of talking points. Mark Gahey made his 150th appearance for Crystal Palace yesterday. The main thing we're going to be talking about, I guess, is referee Sam Barrott, as you say his name. Now officially the worst referee in the Premier League, and that takes some beating of Darren England, I can tell you. I'm sure we'll come to that a little bit later on. The starting 11 saw a return for Adam Wharton. So what is probably our strongest starting 11? Would you agree with that, Joe Holyoke? So that's our strongest team?
Do you know what? Looking at that, if you could pick that team every week, that is absolutely the team that you would pick. Yeah, I'd say yes. I mean, notwithstanding what happened to Richards, I'm not interested in that, because he just doesn't let us down. But yeah, apart from maybe a different centre back in there, then then yeah, I'd be very happy if that turned up every week.
Yeah, and I think that's the team that will be picked for the semi-final. I think that's the starting 11 anyway for the semi-final. I think he was thinking about that as we started the game yesterday. So T,
Hello.
let's talk about a 0-0 draw. Not easy to do, but what were the main talking points for you yesterday?
The main talking points, or do you want the match report?
Either. You start wherever you want to, madame.
Okay, I thought we started okay actually with that tea. Kind of just before quarter of an hour had gone, there was a beautiful little move. Wharton played it round to Munoz, who stuck it in the middle to Mateta, who narrowly missed scoring. That was nice.
Yep.
A highlight. And then, of course, they tried to counter. That didn't go anywhere. He missed literally an open net, skied it. That was Hoyt. I can never say his name. Hoyson or whoever for Bournemouth.
Oh, the centre back.
Yeah. Then comes one of the first controversies. Sarr was making attack and he was fouled. Now, Barrott, the only decent thing during the game, he tried to play the advantage because he obviously saw Hughes running forward. He played the advantage. It came to nothing. He brought it back. It was a free kick. And it was Bournemouth Scott that got carded, got the yellow card then. And then a little bit later on, Richards had received a soft yellow for a soft foul on the Utaru. I think his name is
the left winger.
Utaru.
Number 11. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it was soft. I mean, it was a foul, but okay. If it's a foul, it's a yellow card, I suppose.
Well, I'm not so sure it was. Do you think the first one was a yellow card? Yes.
No, not really.
I mean, he sort of ran into him, didn't he? I don't know. I mean, if you're going to give a yellow card for that, you're going to give out. But we've got a stat, haven't we, on his yellow cards? He's given out.
Oh, Mr. Barrott loves
numbers.
his yellow cards. This season, he's given out 109 yellow cards in the games that he's refereed, and 1 red. Obviously, that was on Chris yesterday.
Okay.
Of those, he gave us 3 against Bournemouth yesterday and a red. When we played Villa in February, he gave Palace 3 yellow cards then. And the game before that, I think he gave us 4. And he was one that disallowed Eze's free kick at Brentford.
Well, the opening game.
Good reason. Yeah, the opening game of the season.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, he's up there kind of Clattenburg style, isn't he, really?
Yeah. So someone's just said it's the new Clattenburg Jel.
Well, the best stat that's come from Monty 1964, he said the ref from yesterday has handed us 18 yellows in 4 games.
Yeah.
Well, 18 yellows. I suppose Richards was 2 yellows, I mean, that's ridiculous. And I think as well, I mean, it's probably rubbish, but apparently he was a season ticket holder at Brighton when he was younger, and that's where he resides. I think. I mean, it can't. I mean,
it can't changed on Wikipedia, Jel. That was changed yesterday.
Well, I did say it's probably rubbish.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no way that he should be doing it. And we have the sublime to the ridiculous, where we have who ref the Brighton game, where he just let them kick crap out of us for the first half an hour, let some ridiculously bad tackles go, and that's what, and that's why there was, in the end, he had to start carding players, and that's why there were 3 reds in the game. There's literally no continuity in these referees. They're either, I was going to say they're either very good or very bad, but I can't think that there are many. There are good referees in the Premier League, but they are very, very, very few and far between. And then is an interesting thing. Does Richards, from John Knox, he says, does Richards miss the FA Cup game? I don't think he does.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. There you go.
And in fact, thankfully, all the yellow cards, not that it'll make us much difference now, but
they've
all
been
the yellow
rescinded.
cards reset the last game. So
I mean, Hughes is like that.
Hughes.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a minute. But he misses the Arsenal game, Chris Richards, because it's a 1-game ban for 2 yellows, and that's the next game. So
saving grace, really, then, isn't it?
And he's going to rotate some people anyway, so he's got opportunity to have a rest against Arsenal. But let's come to the main talking points of the sending off that was and the sending off that wasn't. So before Richards was fouled and got his second yellow. Alex Scott brought the same player down. Like Sar's running at the Bournemouth goal, and he pulls him back. And it's a clear yellow card for me. He's taken the player out. It's a yellow card, and Borat, he stops him and has a word with him and says, "Look, you do that again, son, and you're off." And so you think, okay, bit of common sense there. I don't want the player to get sent off necessarily, but you can't do that on one hand and then send Richards off on the other, can you?
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
That was 45 plus 1 when Richards got sent off, and I looked.
And here it is. Here's a picture of it.
I was
Look, there you go.
I just can't see it.
Is he last man?
No,
he's not last man.
He's not last
man.
man.
In his own half. Look,
he says that he was. He was pulled.
I'm just really surprised that he can make a decision on one hand, not send the Bournemouth player off, and then send Richards off for what he did. Jel, what's your view on this?
Well, like I said, the inconsistency in refereeing is ridiculous. So I think in VAR must have said something. They're always in each other's ears, and because I'm not sure whether VAR can interfere after the card or before a card, or whether I think they can just suggest that he has to look at something, can't he? But don't they? VAR?
No, the problem is that VAR cannot get involved on a yellow card incident. They can only get involved if it's a red card incident. So because it's a second yellow card, VAR cannot say to the referee, I think you've got that one wrong, mate.
Hang on a second. They can't. So if it's a yellow card, VAR can't get involved in it.
Correct.
No.
So what happens if a player breaks another player's leg? The referee, and it doesn't deem that he is broke. But they've had to come on and go, no yellow card, red card instead. I've seen that loads of times.
Yeah, that's different. So if it's a red card offence, VAR can intervene. Okay.
So right, okay, yeah.
But they can't intervene
because he gave him another yellow. If it's okay, all right, yeah.
And now here's the thing: should they be able to? There's the thing. We don't like VAR. We said we don't want VAR, but VAR is here to stay.
Would that take us down to American football length matches?
Hang on a minute, Theresa. If they could get involved, would you have liked to have seen VAR get involved yesterday and say, "Look, you're inconsistent here, Mr. Borat. You're not." Jel.
So just quickly, sorry, Jez. So if I can spin it round, and you guys were at the game, I wasn't, but I was watching. Had it been the other way round, would you have been screaming for a yellow for their player?
Yes.
No. Honestly, no rose tinted glasses. Would you have been saying, okay, so no one, no.
No.
What about you? I mean, it looks like they've overloaded. So they're away. Both of their players are away on the left-hand side. Richards is on our right-hand side. So we've got no one coming back. All we've got is Gay up against them two. He ain't going to catch them two. It doesn't matter. So even if they overload it. If it's the other way round, is it a yellow card for one of their players on us?
No, not for me.
No,
I don't.
It's not yellow.
Well, there you go. So you answer your own questions then. So it shouldn't have been a yellow card.
No,
but
we all
what we haven't spoken about. Sorry, I'll come to you in a minute. Yes, what we haven't spoken about is the player that was fouled by Richards, which was Clivert, wasn't it? The boy Clivert. Now he made so much of that. He rolled about like he'd been shot, and then once he'd realised the free kick had been given, he got up and he was remonstrating to the referee, trying to get the lad sent off.
Yeah,
and again, there was an incident in the second half where you could argue that he could have got a second yellow himself, and we'll come to that in a minute.
Straight red, actually.
Yeah, but there we are. So he didn't help the situation, did Clivert? Yasmin, you wanted to come in.
Well, yeah, with the yellow cards and whether VAR should intervene, I think they should when the person is then getting sent off, because that was important. He would have said to him, no, and you haven't sent off, you haven't given the yellow to the other blokes. You've got to be consistent, which is what they all said on Match of the Day. Nobody thought he should have been sent off. So I think that's where VAR should be able to when it comes to giving out a red for two yellows.
Yeah. And it was our friend Clinton Morrison on doing the Sky Live in the studio who said, No, not for me. He said it's Palace, but he shouldn't be going for this. Yeah, Jel.
I've just got quite a valid comment from Rob Cranfield, and he said managers should be able to challenge decisions during the game. That's a fair point. I mean, if we're going to slow the game down for what was our 7 minutes, our VAR decisions against Newcastle, then another minute or two isn't going to matter, is it? 7 or it's 9. It doesn't really matter. And we've already had over a 100-minute game this season at Selhurst, against Brighton, because of those red cards and stuff.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
But what criteria are they going to use to challenge? Because then, if the opposition score a goal, then the manager challenges it. It's
yeah, but you're saying that though. So in cricket, they have a challenge system. You only get 2 goals.
Yeah, you get 2.
So maybe you get 2 of those, and after that, maybe that. Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the times, when Alex Ferguson was a manager. Can you imagine? He would have reviewed everything anyone else got, and he would have got it overturned. So I'm not sure about that rule.
I think someone in the chat makes a really sensible comment. A challenge like Hawkeye in tennis, 2 per half per team. So you get a limited number. So I interesting thought, and I think it's something maybe the Premier League needs to have a look at, because if VAR cannot intervene because it's a yellow card offence, and Paul Real Panel said as much here as well to confirm that, then something needs to change, because it was unfair to see Chris Richards dismissed yesterday for something as innocuous as that little touch of the arm. Jel, the final word on this.
So going back to what Real Panel just said, he said VAR doesn't look at second yellows as if someone gets sent off for 2 yellows and the first yellow was wrong, that couldn't be reviewed. As in our sending off when Nketiah was actually fouled, got booked for diving. It legit wasn't a dive. He got they're told, get touched, go down. He got touched. I cannot believe that everything wasn't overturned, and that we actually weren't given a penalty. So he should never have had that second yellow. He's absolutely proved the point now.
Tom Samuel says rugby league now do a captain's review. Listen, it happens in tennis, it happens in cricket, it happens in rugby league. Maybe it will happen in football next season or the year after. Who knows? And you heard about it here first on the Red and Blue Review. We come to half time, Theresa. We're 0-0. We've got 10 men for the second half. Substitution on half time. Tell us about that.
What's up?
That's Chris Kamara. Okay, let me help you out a bit here, Theresa. At half time, Oliver Glasner chooses to withdraw Eberechi Eza and bring on Jefferson Lerma to shore up the back line.
I just didn't have that on my notes. That's
also, the Bournemouth team took off that Scott who should have been sent off before he got
a second yellow. Yeah.
That annoyed me. Anyway,
well, I think by the end of the game, they'd taken off every player that was on the yellow card.
However, there was a bit of controversy, and about 5 minutes into the second half, Hughes was brought down by Tyler Adams, who was already on a yellow card on the edge of the penalty area. But they didn't get a second for that either.
No, they didn't.
That could quite easily. Bournemouth could have been down to 9, actually, if you were playing the consistency game.
But they weren't, because he wasn't going to send a Bournemouth player off yesterday. It almost don't matter what they did. But You're right. The Adams foul and Kluivert was another one. Now, there was another talking point, Theresa, which I know you have in your notes because we rehearsed this bit. What happened to Sarr?
Had his pants pulled down, darling.
He had his pants pulled down. Yeah, there we go.
Pulled his shorts down.
I didn't think you were allowed. It's like an unwritten rule, like a gentleman's thing, that you weren't allowed to interfere with kit. I think that is, I'm sure, is a yellow card.
If you did that out in public, it'd be sexual assault, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be gross. It'd be indecency, without a doubt. I mean, he only needs to have had a wardrobe malfunction underneath them shorts. Yeah, and I've had that playing football in my younger days. I can assure you. And then you would have, then it would have been well, God knows what would have happened then. It would have been a police thing, wouldn't it? It would have definitely.
Well, the result of that incident was both players got carded.
I mean, I don't see how.
I don't see how either. Where poor Sar standing there with his shorts down round by his ankles. Oh, they just fell off.
Anyway, so both players get booked. Both players get booked. Because Sar reacted angrily, quite rightly so, justifiably so, I think. But,
Yeah.
and it was Mateta was the peacemaker in there trying to keep him away. But it was a bizarre situation right in front of us, Yas, wasn't it? You were quite offended, weren't you, I think?
Well, I wasn't offended, but I felt sorry for Sar because we could see everything from where we were in the main stand. Oh, that's a bit much, you know.
There we go. We're 0-0 still, T. What else do we need to talk about in this game?
Then we got a couple more subs, which ended up with Kamada and Nkechi come on. JP went off and Kamada came on for Wharton. I think, is that right?
Kamada came on for Wharton in 75th minute, yep, and then Nkechi came on for Mateta, yep.
Yeah. Well, I so wanted Kamada to score a screamer.
Yeah. Do you know what? On that point, I thought he played really, really well when he came on versus Newcastle. He was at the heart of everything, attacking wise, and exactly the same thing. If there was a spark that was needed, he doesn't look too happy at the moment. He doesn't smile or say a lot when he comes on as sub all the time. There's no facial changes or anything with him. I don't know whether he's unhappy or whether someone's translating the comments at the end of every game saying how bad most of us think he is. But I've been really hoping that he would do something extraordinary just to prove people like me wrong earlier in the season. But maybe it's coming. I don't know.
He worked. I have to say, Kamada worked hard on Saturday.
He did. Yeah.
He was going in for tackles, and he was trying to get himself in the right positions. And actually, the corner that he took from the was actually a good corner. He got it in the right place. We just didn't have anyone there.
I think his corners on the left were half decent, but actually I think Will Hughes' corners from our right caused them all kinds of problems. Yeah. I think he took 3, and they were both just under the crossbar, and they really had to. One of them, the guy, a Bournemouth player, got his head on it, and he headed it over in the middle of the goal. The referee said we had to take it on the other side. And it's clearly we were more effective on the right. And he made us take it from the left, which I thought I could not believe that decision either. You know, how he, for me, it looks as if it was more on the right hand side. But anyway, Kamada, he's going to get a Wembley winner. It's got Wembley winner written all over it, according to Tommy Samuel. So let's hope you're right, mate. So there we are.
And then there was that nice little goalmouth scramble, wasn't there? At Palace, up in the goalmouth, but they managed to hold on to the ball.
Was it Sar crossed the ball low and hard, didn't he? Yeah. And Munoz's little cheeky back flick, which if it had come off would have been nice, but
I know.
Not to be. Okay.
Mateta scores those, doesn't he?
He does.
Scored 2 of those, one a few years ago, and then he scored another one at Sellers.
So the match ended 0-0. Munoz was voted man of the match. Quite rightly so, actually. Guy works so hard. And that was it.
And then we can see the Bournemouth player, number 12. Who was that? That's
Tyler Adams.
That's Tyler Adams. He's got a hold of Max Lacroix's shirt there in a penalty area, but of course nothing given there. Yeah, 2 goalless draws with Bournemouth this season. Beats the 2 defeats from last season. So we've improved against them. But 2 0-0s against that small team.
I would say
the
only consolation of that performance yesterday is that maybe it will keep other teams looking at our players and our manager.
It stopped the rot.
Keep us off the radar.
That's for sure. It stopped the rot after the 2 away defeats.
I'd rather we played like this now than next week. Get it out of the way now. Get all our bad luck.
Absolutely.
Some of our players had control of a mad axeman when they were doing their passing yesterday. I mean, we didn't seem to be able to complete. The passing completion was really poor. I'm
going to bring Jel in, and we need to move on. Jel.
Just going into the chat. Paul Holden said, "What's happened to Franca and Devaney? Hardly get any game time." Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think that might change against Arsenal. Well, I hope he does, anyway, because I think there's one or two players who need a rest. And when I mean that, it's not because they're tired, but I think that I genuinely think that Eze needs a game off and Devaney playing in his place. If only just to, and if Devaney has a screamer, then, it is what it is. We know how good he can be. And also Steve Dye's come up with a very good point. And I thought this, what you were saying, we had 2-0, but he said Bournemouth are a very good team. And that was a good result. He said great result. So, yeah, it was. And, again, we haven't conceded. So I thought if we could take, Bournemouth have been a surprise out of all of the team, well, them and Forest, I think have been the big surprises for me this season. So but Bournemouth are either very good or very average. They're very rarely very bad.
Absolutely. Yeah, they've improved a lot, haven't they? And they're no mugs at all. So I think with 10 men for the second half, it was, you could argue it's a decent point. And as I said, it stopped the rot. Yasmin.
I'm just saying that Paul Holden, I think it was, asked about the Elvis music yesterday that we discussed.
Oh, yeah.
So does anyone remember singing that in the 80s?
Yes.
Apparently, according to my friend, that's what you did.
Sorry, I know we keep going, but the chat, just quickly, T. So we were going on about Kamada, and Paul Bristow obviously spends much of his life on trains. And he said, I had the pleasure of sitting with a good friend of Kamada on the train coming in from the Man City game. Daichi is understanding the language very well, but he's struggling with his spoken English. That might explain a lot. But the thing is, spoken English in London and his spoken English in Croydon, different thing, mate. Different thing. So, but no, it is a valid point. It is a valid point.
Yeah. It is. There is a culture thing there that, but I've always said there's a player in Kamada for sure. Right, guys, we need to move this podcast on because otherwise we're going to run out of time. I do want to cover off the other teams. We always talk about other teams at Crystal Palace Football Club on this podcast. The under-21s on Monday, the 14th of April, they in Premier League 2, Division 1, at the VBS Community Stadium, they lost 4-2 at home to Chelsea. Now, here's the interesting thing. The under-21s finished in 6th place in Premier League 2. This means they will be playing in the playoff stages, which is a single elimination round of 16 bracket. The format for the league changed to a Swiss style last season, where teams faced 20 of the 26 sides in an initial league phase before the top 16 sides advanced to the single elimination playoff stage to determine the overall winner. Bit like they do in the Champions League, I suppose. This means that Palace will play Brighton and Hove Albion, of all teams, and they play them at home next Saturday, the 26th of April, at the training ground, a 3:00 kickoff, which I think is a bit strange, given that's the day of our semi-final. So the lads in the under-21s aren't going to be able to be at Wembley, I wouldn't have thought, to cheer on the first team. They'll have to watch it on the TV, presumably immediately after their game, which kicks off at 3:00. So good luck to them in that playoff game or the round of 16 against Brighton. The under-18s. Sorry?
Maybe Steve's got them a helicopter.
Maybe. I doubt it very much, but there we are. The under-18s on Thursday, the 17th of April, at the training ground, they lost 2-1 to Arsenal.
Boo.
The women haven't played since we were last on air. No game since our last show. But they do play Chelsea away on next Wednesday, the same night as we play at Arsenal. It's a 7:15 kickoff. They're away to Chelsea. They're 7 points adrift at the bottom of the Women's Super League with 4 games to play. So it rather looks like relegation is written all over it. So they basically got to win their last 4 games, but they go to Chelsea away, who are top. So they've got Bob Hope and no hope in that one, I don't think. But there we are. New contracts at the club this week we've had. Nigel, we haven't done this bit yet, have we? If we have, my mistake. But no, Will Hughes has signed a new contract until 2027, which is great news because he's been brilliant this season. He probably the most improved player under Oliver Glasner. Has been brilliant. And Munoz. Yes, you tell us about Munoz's contract.
Yeah. So he's signed until 2028, and I think that's one of the best things we had last week for sure. He's been really great for us. I think other teams are interested in him, so great to get him to sign for more years. Personally, he's one of my favourites. I think he's up for every game. The amount he runs is unbelievable. He's got so much passion, and it's great to have him as a Palace player.
Jel.
Couple of bits from the chat. Paul Bristow said our under 21s, because we've got to play Brighton, lost to Brighton under 21s 10-0 back in October.
Ouch.
I know. And Sir said this, it did make me laugh. Rob Cranfield said, imagine Kamada talking like me. I'm going to resist trying to talk like him, right? Just purely because of the keyboard warriors out there would go mental. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, 10-0. That's Jesus.
That's a lot, isn't it?
I don't remember Nick reading that result out at the beginning of the season.
I think we must have glossed over it that week. We must have glossed over it. So, Lone Watch. I'm going to do this if my voice holds out, by the way. Lone Watch. Owen Goodman kept a clean sheet for AFC Wimbledon. They drew 0-0 with Chesterfield. And Joe Whitworth kept a clean sheet. Exeter drew 0-0 with Burton Albion. Danny Emery played 83 minutes for Bromley as they won 1-0 at home against Morecambe. Jezrak Saki and Rob Holding both started for Sheffield United. Both were substituted on 78 and 85 minutes in a 2-0 win over Cardiff City. And the other lads on loan stayed on the bench for their respective clubs. So that's a little look at the Loan Watch of players out on loan. We're going to look ahead now to this coming week. We've got Arsenal away on Wednesday, rearranged. I still feel somewhat aggrieved about the fact that this game has been rearranged to before our semi-final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yasmin, T, give me your views on this one.
Well, I just feel like it's ruined the game. Both teams don't want any of the players injured because we've both got important games. But ours is 3 days. It's terrible what's happened to us with that game. Because if we lose it, these stupid bookings and we seem to, from not having anyone sent off, now we've had 3 in a few games. It's just really worrying that something could happen and we lose someone really important for the final. So yeah, I'm really fed up with it.
Villa played the day before, of course. They've got an extra 24 hours. Why we both couldn't have played on the Tuesday night? Maybe because Arsenal played today, I suppose. That's the reason. I've just answered my own question.
That's exactly the reason they said.
So, so we go to Arsenal on Wednesday. It's live on Sky. If we can get that graphic back up, Nige, please. Then, of course, we have our semi-final live on BBC One. If anyone on here is not going, why aren't you going? But you can watch it on BBC One. Or tell your granny she can watch it on BBC One. We play Forest at home on the following Monday, on the 5th of May. It's a bank holiday Monday, again in front of the Sky cameras. And we then go to Tottenham. This one's been moved to the Sunday because of their involvement in the Europa League the week before. So I was rather hoping they would go out, so the game would stay on the Saturday. And then our final home game of the season is against Wolves. We've got to be confirmed there because if we were to win our semi-final, that one obviously gets changed because that is the weekend of the cup final. And I hope that if we get through to the final, there's no reason at all why that one can't be after the final instead of before it in the midweek. If it's before it, there's no reason why it should be before. And then the final day is there Liverpool against Crystal Palace on Sunday, the 25th of May, 4 p.m. kickoff at Anfield. So how are we going to get on? Or let's talk a little bit about team selection. Hard to predict whole 11, but who would you rest? We haven't rehearsed this, so straight under the bus a bit. Yes, who would you rest for on Wednesday night? Who would you not play?
Maybe rest JP, Eze. Maybe Adam Walton if he is struggling. We haven't got a lot of choice with the back with our defence, because especially with Chris Richards. I don't know if I would rest Dino. I'm not sure I would. I would want to play certainly for a lot more minutes, or even start Essay and someone's put it, and probably Devaney as well, because I feel they could benefit from it. We're a bit stuck. We don't have like Jel said, we don't have a B team really. We have the bench, but they're not that strong either. Should anything happen to them, leaves us stuck on the Saturday. So, but both teams are, I think, going to be the same.
Yeah, I'd start Kamada, I'd start França. I would literally Nketiah start the bench.
Do you know what? What a great call. I'd start Nketiah as well. I'd play 4-5-1. I wouldn't start Munoz either. He's far too important for us to get injured or anything worse. So I'd have Wardy come in or Klein and go back to a 4-4-2. And I really don't care if we did take a couple of centre backs out the under 21s. We can't lose Gay, really. We can't. And we there's a lot of players that we can't afford to lose. And midfield needs Hughes. It needs Walton. For me, like I said, I would definitely play Devaney instead of Eze, 100%. I'm not. To be honest with you, the chances of us getting anything from the Arsenal game, the way they're playing at the moment, and what they will do is when they kick the ball, they'll just give us a run around and just knacker us out. It literally will be a defence against attack game. And I never thought I'd say this, but I'm literally don't care about the result because all that matters is there's some of the players that really do have to play both games, that they don't get injured. That's all I'm worried about.
Absolutely, Theresa.
Saw a great tweet where some guy said, players just come out on the field, just sit down for the 90 minutes, both teams.
That's not going to happen. But look, we've said play the bench. People in the comments are saying play the bench. But look, do you think realistically Glasner's going to do that? Jill, what do you think he's going to... How many changes do you think Oliver Glasner will actually make? 4, I think. Can I just tell you, going back to what T just said, there was a story, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Newcastle, and I think one of their old players was in charge. And what they did, they had an attack versus defence game where there was no attack. So they were just literally defending, practicing their defending. And they said they got the ball from the kickoff, went to put the ball back to their left back then give it to their centre back, and then the centre back turned around to give it to the goalkeeper. But the goalkeeper was facing the wrong way, trying to do something to the net or to do with his gloves. And they were 1-0 down, and they weren't playing anybody. I just thought that just reminded me. Just sit down, and we. But yeah, we are. There we go. So yeah, we think there'll be changes. I do like your call, Yasmin, of resting Jean-Philippe Mateta, Eze, Walton, those three. Maybe throw Munoz in there as well. I also think Mitchell. He hasn't been great lately. Why have we got Chilwell on loan if we're not going to play him? We might as well play him at left wing. Absolutely. Yeah. T, quick word from you, and then we need to wrap this.
Would anyone bring on Ward for a cameo appearance at Wembley?
I think we bring Ward on in the cup final, in the final minute of the game, just so he can say he's been on the pitch if we're winning by more than 2 goals, possibly. But there we are. Okay, guys. Listen, thank you very much indeed to Jel and Yasmin and Theresa for joining me on this pod tonight. It's been a bit of a tough ask for me because my throat is still not right. I've been coughing all the way through. I've been muting my mic. That's been the most used button on my keyboard all evening. We will be back for a special show on Thursday. We're going to review the Arsenal game. Be very interesting to talk about what happens at the Emirates on Wednesday evening. Yasmin and I will be there in the away end, along with many of you. And we're going to have a special preview, of course, for the semi-final. Talk about the semi-final in building up to it, because it is going to be a great occasion for Crystal Palace Football Club. It'll be the 3rd time we've been in a semi-final in 10 years, and it's about time we won this FA Cup. So thank you to everyone for joining us. Have a great rest of your evening and great rest of your Easter weekend. And we'll see you next time on Thursday. Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Bye.
night, everyone.